Today I'm getting to fly in the twin-engine aeroplane that's almost as easy to fly as a single. Yes, it's the rare Super Skymaster, the Cessna 337G. This model was built in 1977, and as far as I know, it's one of only two on the British G register. It has a push-pull engine configuration, two counter-rotating 210 horsepower engines, one on the front, the other on the back. It's easy to fly because, unlike traditional multi-engine aeroplanes, it has a central thrust axis, and so should one of its engines fail, there's no asymmetry. This one's owned by one of my followers, Mark Hounsome. Mark lives on Alderney but regularly commutes across the English Channel to Hampshire, where I've met him today for a short flight. The twin-engine Skymaster gives him peace of mind on his regular, long water crossings. Hi Mark!
Morning John.
How are you?
Yeah, very well.
A blowy day today. I think we're going to get bounced about.
It's going to make it exciting.
The Skymaster is usually fitted with 6 seats, but Mark has removed one of them. This model has long-range tanks, 560 litres, which is 148 gallons. Burning 80 litres an hour gives an endurance of 7 hours.
Basically I prime both engines first. 2 fuel pumps, 1, 2, and that's it then. Once the engines have started, there's nothing else to do with fuel pumps. Unless there's a problem. You know, they got mechanical fuel pumps and there's nothing else to do. So here we go. So rear engine first.
Okay, and oil pressure on the rear. Yep. Alternator switch, and alternator is charging. That's the rear charging. Okay, go for the front. Front, we can see the front, here we go. Front's alive, front oil pressure, front alternator. Lee radio, good morning, Golf, Bravo, Foxtrot, Juliet, Romeo.
We're going to go on a short flight just over the Isle of Wight today, and I'll give you my first impressions of the Skymaster. By the way, if you like reading about different types of aircraft as well as keeping up to date with news from General Aviation, you will probably be interested in the AOPA UK magazine, which is published every other month. As you probably know, I'm a proud AOPA member, and I've just been reading the October-November issue, which asks if this is the world's best example of a Cessna 150. It certainly looks very tidy, doesn't it? The magazine is available to AOPA members. Join AOPA UK with my special link to get 25% off your membership.
Right, you good? I'm good. Okay. Here we go. Off the brakes.
Using both engines for taxi thrust, it looks like using the right...
just use the rear for a minute. It puts quite a lot of weight over that elevator and it'll keep the nose high off the ground, but there you go. And I'll swap going down the runway to make sure we've got even temperatures by the time we go for takeoff.
Golf Juliet Romeo, backtrack runway 23 for K Echo for checks.
Backtrack 23 and Echo for checks, Golf Juliet Romeo, thanks. Okay.
The earlier versions of the Skymaster had fixed gear, and Cessna had to come up with an interesting system to produce a retractable version. Here's a video showing the gear retraction. If you look closely at the nose wheel, you'll see it rotate 90 degrees just before it docks in the wheel well. And of course it has that characteristic wobbly main wheel retraction style. For completeness, here's a video of the gear extension so you can see it in reverse. If you look at the positioning of the gear doors during transition, you'll understand why airspeed limitations are vital to observe on this type.
Okay, so pre-departure, there won't be any problems, but if there was any problems, engine failure before the wheels are off the ground, we're going to stay on the ground. After we're off the ground, anything below 90 knots, that undercarriage is staying down. We'll complete the circuit and we'll complete the flight with the undercarriage down. We need to be above 90 knots to retract the undercarriage. That is because the doors open and they cause drag, so you could actually induce a stall if you try to do it before 90 knots. After that, we're going to fly the plane. So, if you're good,
Very good.
lead in with the rear. We have full power. We're looking for 75 knots. Airspeed's alive. There's 80 knots. We're airborne. Okay, there's 95 knots. Wheels are going up. Wheels are up. Hydraulic pump is stopped. And we'll set the power. Oh, bit low.
Is the amber light for just saying it's retracted?
So that's retracted. I can hear the hydraulic pump stopped. Plane's quite happy. 116 knots in the climb. 24. Engines are all in the green.
Nice and smooth actually, and quite very stable given the wind. You know, it's very blowy today, sort of 20 knots up here, I think.
Yeah,
It's
we're not getting thrown around too much yet.
actually 30 knots up here. Is it generally very stable then?
The aircraft is very stable. But yeah, we're climbing 113, but it's only 90 across the ground there, so you're right.
It's a six-seater, but you've only got 5 seats.
So the long-range tanks, with the weight of that and the weight of the people, you put the plane overweight. I think it's got a max takeoff weight of 2,058 kilos, which is quite good.
Its load carrying capability and its range, along with its relatively simple operation, makes it attractive to some, but you do need a multi-engine rating to fly a UK registered one. In fact, I think that's the case in most, if not all, jurisdictions. However, because the engines provide an equal line of thrust, you don't have to complete the full multi-engine course, and you come away instead with a slightly restricted multi-engine rating.
It's a multi-engine rating limited to single-engine thrust, so that's the ticket that I've actually got.
What is that? A different training course?
So I did not do a multi-engine rating. I did not do asymmetric. So it's basically the same course.
Training, is it?
It's the same course, but they don't make you practice the asymmetric part. For me, I was never going to fly another twin. This was where I wanted to be.
We're climbing above the cloud layer towards St Catherine's Point on the Isle of Wight because Mark wants to demonstrate an engine shutdown. He says the single engine performance on the Skymaster is surprisingly good, especially from the rear engine.
This is where this aeroplane would come into its own for exactly what I do with it a lot of the time, which is crossing the channel. If we were to lose the front engine now, which initially I'll just pull the power back, just so as you can see. Basically not a lot happens. Feel the nose just drop a little bit. Trim it back to compensate. But what I'm actually going to do for you, shut the front engine down. Wow. The fuel shut off. There it is. Now flying on the rear engine. We've still got 105 through the air. I believe the plane has a documented service ceiling, single engine at 10,000 feet. We're here at 5,500 feet, and to be honest, not a lot changed. we might have lost a few knots, but that's basically it. We're actually still climbing. So this aircraft has accumulators, and again, it's a very simple aircraft. We'll set the throttle, we'll push the mixture back rich in readiness for it, and all we've actually got to do is reintroduce the propeller, which should come round, and when it's ready, it bursts back into life. Now I can feel it pulling, and normal systems, we are back to normal.
And accumulator is where it's collected the oil pressure or stored the oil pressure to enable the propeller to turn when you command it. Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, it's got a self-accumulator on it. It's nitrogen charged, actually, and that basically stops us having to use any electricity to start the engine. So if it was a battery problem or anything like that, we can just introduce it back into the air. The rear one does exactly the same.
So you travel between the UK mainland and Alderney a lot, where you're based.
Yeah, Alderney's home, and this plane serves a perfect purpose for crossing this channel. I can do Alderney to Leon Solent, Thruxton, or Compton Abbas, all in 40 minutes, and this just gives absolute perfect safety for crossing this ocean. The plane will happily do it on single engine. I don't fly single engine, but it gives me absolute great confidence that should I have to, it will.
What's its cruise speed with dual engine?
So most of the time, 146 knots through the air.
The reason why you were particularly taken with this aircraft was that your dad used to fly them.
So back in 1975, my father's first commercial airline job was actually flying these from Herne into the Channel Islands.
Herne being Bournemouth, yeah?
Herne being Bournemouth. They were doing runs in and out of there. I believe they had 6 of them. And then later in life, he had one as a private aircraft while I was a teenager, so they always stuck in my mind. And I had no idea that later, like many years later, 40 years later, I would actually move to an island where this plane actually serves a very, very good purpose.
Were you always uncomfortable flying single engine over the English Channel?
I think it would have always been in the back of my head that one day, the number of times I cross the Channel now is, it's not like an occasional thing. I'm doing it 3 or 4 times a week if I needed to. I certainly don't have any second thought about doing it now.
Are the 2 engines equal performance, or are they? I mean, they're the same rating.
So they're both 210 horsepower.
Yep.
I believe they've both got the same size propellers, but the rear one does actually produce more thrust, and it must just be the way that the air is fed to it, or the fact that the front one's hidden by a lot of plane behind it. So no, if I had a preference, it would be the rear one I'd like to keep going.
Coming up, Mark will talk us through the approach and landing back at Leon Solent. We've been talking about engines here today and the benefit of flying with 2 rather than 1, as I do, especially for large distances over water. I don't have the luxury of 2 engines, unfortunately, so instead I rely on my maintenance organisation, Aero Anglia, to keep my Arrow in tip-top condition. Plus, for any engine-related issues, I consult with Norvic Aero Engines. They inspected my old cylinders a couple of years ago when we had a problem. They diagnosed the issue and supplied replacement cylinders in no time at all because they had them in stock. It's only because of my partnership with Norvic and Aero Anglia that I would even contemplate taking the risk of flying the family over the Irish Sea, for example, as we did last summer.
For the information, Golf Bravo Foxtrot Juliet Romeo, Hurst Castle and inbound.
Okay, Roger, runway 23 right hand, Quebec E1009, no reported traffic.
Most people that do not like the aircraft, so it has a lot of nicknames, obviously the push-pull, Mixmaster.
Why Mixmaster?
I don't know, I'm guessing this lot. It does have a lot of nicknames, push me, pull you. Most people will say that the plane is too noisy. It definitely will upset any airfield that's got noise abatement, but the sound that goes through that rear propeller is almost supersonic because it's being fed from the front one, so it is noisy. To me, it sounds like it's playing a tune and I love it. Other people will say that it's not quite as economical as a traditional twin. I think they're splitting hairs, to be honest. 137 on the speed, we'll slow it up just a little bit. Actually under 140 we can put the wheels down, so we're well under now anyway. So
there's a bit of drag there, is it? I suppose the doors
just
close
the
up,
doors, and then
they'll come up.
That's it. Hydraulic pumps off. I've got a green. I can see a wheel.
Yep.
You should be able to see a wheel.
I've got a wheel.
Golf Juliet Romeo is joining downwind.
Golf Juliet Romeo, report final.
Okay.
What's your final approach speed?
I'll do most of it at 80 and lose the last bit over the fence, so sort of 70, 75. Put full flaps, and it would get down to 55, but I'm not comfortable with our crosswind, so we'll keep it up a bit. And Lee's got a very short final, as you know, coming in this way.
Yeah.
But, okay, that feels good. So we got full flaps, wheels are down, landing lights. And off Juliet Romeo, standing final 23.
Offshore Romeo, runway 23, land your discretion, surface wind estimated at 240 degrees 15 knots.
Off Juliet Romeo. Okay. Prop's going fully fine. There's Rich. Any problems we'll go around, but should be good.
I want to thank Mark for taking me for this short flight and giving me the lowdown on the Skymaster. I can see now why he's so attached to it. If you have an interesting aircraft and you'd be happy for me to come and film a flight with you for a similar feature, do let me know. Just want to head off the inevitable comments about Mark's centerline control on this approach. He's been kind enough to allow me to film this flight. None of us can be perfect all of the time, and I'm sure if I put cameras in your cockpit, I'd be able to pick holes in what you do, so please do cut him a bit of slack on that.
Okay, welcome to Lee.
Thank you. Well, I'm quite taken by it. I'm with you on the safety side of it. That would be a real comfort blanket for me. I don't think I could afford a twin. I bet you're...
Offshore Romeo, okay, Alpha for the tower.
Alpha for the tower, off Juliet Romeo, thanks.
I don't think I could afford the maintenance.
If I'm honest, there's a team of people behind me. I've obviously got my dad, I've got a business partner, I've obviously got my partner, and a few other interested parties, and the help comes in more forms than just the financial. You need hands.
Is there a part of you that just wants to keep the type flying?
Absolutely. I have no intention of ever selling this aircraft. I will keep it going as long as we physically can. So we're always on the hunt for spares and information and other things like that, really.
Well, that was a real treat. I'm really taken with the Skymaster. If only I had the budget, definitely. On safety grounds, comfort grounds, stability, nice and comfortable up there, even though it's blowing 20 knots down here, 30 knots up there. What a great aircraft.
Thank you, John.
Hey, what a great day. A great plane.
This is one proud owner, and as much as I might love this, he's never ever going to give it away, are you?
No, never. I'm going to hold on to this for as long as I can, and hopefully every year she'll get better and better and better.
Good for you.